Hello and welcome. My name is Janae Sansaray. I came into this realm for a bit with some gifts. I am an Akashic Records librarian, able to read energy in the quantum space of all that is. I believe I chose to be here to assist and participate in the greatest higher dimensional shift we are all going through in the history of planet Earth. It's so exciting. If you want to learn more about me, I have put my website link in the description below. All right, let's get to it and enjoy this video. Hello. How's everybody doing out there? We're good. Thank you. Welcome to Menopause in the Apocalypse with my friend Caitlin and myself, Janae. I am an intuitive. I can read energy. Let's see, I've been able to tap into the Akashic Records, all that is, and receive information. And I've been doing readings for, I guess, over 15 years now. And Caitlin, you are an amazing hero and healer. Yes,
I am a hero,
you
my own
are
hero.
my hero. You really are. You've helped me through so much this last year. So tell us
Oh,
about yourself and your gifts.
well, I'm a shamanic healer and I work with energy. I work with helping you to center your energy, clear, and raise your vibration through the tools of biogeometry and astrology and just being on this life path and what I've experienced and
Mm,
sharing it with others.
yes,
Knowledge of this reality.
I love it.
Reality.
Yeah,
That's what we're
reality.
going to talk about.
That's yes.
This reality.
What is this reality? Yeah, like, is it a reality? Is it a, a pre-programmed reality? Are we in a dream? So, yeah, let's figure this out.
Well, the thing is, after going down many rabbit holes about this reality,
Mm,
it really doesn't matter
mhm,
what really happened, what we're living on. What matters is that we understand the rules of this reality.
mhm,
And the rules kind of seem like they are, everyone's talking about an AI, this AI takeover. Well, this reality has like an AI
mhm,
type of, it's like our thoughts, our beliefs,
mhm,
they're reflected back at us. It's like, oh, if I believe this reality shows me what I believe or shows me what my thoughts are. So there's
mhm,
just this constant reflective quality to this reality
mm,
that really it's like we are the center of our realities and our thoughts and our actions and our beliefs are creating our experience here.
absolutely.
So,
It really is.
yeah.
And that's what I've come to the realization, like, nothing really matters. Like, if we it's like I have to stay in a very expanded consciousness to know and stay in that, like, 0 point and observation, to actually really be the creator of this reality. So it's not going into a belief about, because there's so many stories and so many movies with all
So
sorts.
many stories.
Too
There's
many.
so many stories. That's what's really tipped me off to like, oh, it's not, this is the story we've been given. The
Mhm.
the general narrative is falls apart with all these other stories.
Yeah,
So the Tartaria, the flat earth,
yeah.
the ancient architecture, the ancient stuff, that all,
The moon being a spaceship.
the moon, the planets, even astrology, there's so many like different understandings
Yeah,
that it's like, there is no great truth
right.
of our history. Like it is whatever you perceive it to be,
Yeah.
literally.
Well,
So,
that's it. So, and I enjoy everybody's perception. I like hearing, about the Tartarians and the amazing buildings or structures that they built, through vibrational sound and the technology that's been uncovered. But how long has it really been there? What is it, and everybody does have
yeah, the timing
the
too is
timing.
a
It's like, come on, we
10
can't.
million years ago. Oh, really? How do you know it was 10 million
Yeah,
years ago? Oh, because of carbon dating. Well, carbon dating is shown to be very flawed.
right.
So, these ice ages and things like that. I mean, what we know is
Mhm.
that this realm goes through cataclysmic events.
Right.
There's evidence of that.
Yeah.
There's, the timing is like, debatable.
Mm,
And what else was I going to say?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I lost it.
That's menopause brain,
Back to
FYI.
midlife.
That's
This is
part
what
of
happens
the
when on a train of thought.
we
And it's
were
completely gone. Okay,
trans
cool.
and then it's gone. It's
But
like, wait a
anyway,
minute. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's so
But just
fun.
really understanding how powerful our thoughts are and how
That's right.
powerful we are.
Mhm.
And when we get pulled into a certain narrative or a certain story and get convicted with that,
Mhm.
aligned with that, we're actually coming into resonance with it. And
Mhm.
actually, the beauty of understanding this realm is to be in neutrality.
That's right.
And this has been really hard for me as a Libra with a lot of planets there. I want to be, justice for all
Yeah.
and, feed the poor and da da da. But it's
Yeah.
like really, it's all goes on no matter what. And really the whole thing is to go in.
That's
That
right.
going in is the
Yeah.
way out. So
That's right.
everything in this reality is reflective, as above, so below, as within, so without.
Mhm.
All these old sayings that we've heard through time
Yeah.
are like really the core of this knowledge. And it's like, I
Well,
know
and those
it sounds
could
like,
be like clues for us that we left for ourselves to figure out. Those could be those Easter eggs, those little like, oh, we left, like who knows who really Nostradamus was. Like one of us could have been Nostradamus. We've left ourselves clues in this reality to figure it out. And I do believe that we are in a really amazing conscious shift. Like, that's where I do feel like there is something that we're all connecting to together, no matter what it is, and that is through our own personal experience and really fine-tuning that and aligning with, like you said, like, we are creating with our thoughts and consciousness, and it's like it feels really powerful what we're going through and figuring it out.
yeah, I mean, figuring it out. And then, um, I mean, we are going through a powerful time,
Mhm.
but I think there's always powerful times. So I don't know. I feel like really, again, there is a collective thing happening, but also if you're not aligned internally with your true purpose and your true destiny by midlife, I mean, this is some people lock in and they're like, no, I'm gonna live this life out the way I started it. And really midlife is about exploring your true destiny
Mm.
and really understanding that and not being distracted by the asshole dark, which is what I like to call them
Yeah,
now, the
love it.
asshole
The
dark.
asshole dark.
Yeah, just really because also we have to be careful of resonance
Right,
because
that's
this
right.
is the vibrational physics is like we even explore, go down rabbit holes of decoding things, and that is also coming into and witnessing
Mhm.
these big energy harvests like the Super Bowl, things like that.
Yeah.
We are coming into alignment resonance with it, even if we're looking at it objectively. So we have to
Mhm.
really be careful with our
Yeah.
energy and protecting our energy field
Yes.
as we're going through, because in midlife we're like looking for like ways out of going in. I
Mhm.
swear, in the beginning it's just like, oh my god, no, I'm gonna
Yeah.
hang on and I'm gonna keep doing this because this is what I've been doing. And yeah, so
Mm.
really getting into your true purpose and
Mm.
you know
That's right.
things like it's always good to get others to help you because they are
Mm.
reflective.
Yeah.
So if you can find a guide who's
Mhm.
empowering you,
That's
for
right.
one thing. That is like one of the clues to having a good guide in this timing, because it is really helpful to have others reflect,
It
what you're
is.
going through.
Yeah, it is. It's so important to
Yeah.
have that support system, those co-creators. Yeah, we were talking before, we pushed record, but yeah, it's like finding your co-creators and like really uplifting you with, yeah, go and like I like what you said, like going into resonance with each other. And that's, I feel in that big energy shift that's happening with us, where we are raising the consciousness um, and moving out of like the asshole dark. I love that. So it's
Yeah, or
like,
even like exploring, like, oh my God, they're gonna do this now, and now they're doing that. And it's just like
yeah,
it's all also, I just have to say something that I've noticed since I was literally born on this planet in this lifetime is they're always projecting doom.
yeah,
There's always this projection of
yeah,
doom,
yeah.
you know? And I see how it affects people. I see like posts, like a friend of mine posted something. She's like, "Oh, I'm raising my kids. If there's any, hopefully there'll be land left for them to
Oh
steward." It's like,
no.
come on, girl, snap out of it. It's just like,
Yeah,
that's an agenda. We
totally.
don't even know if we're even occupying all the land on this
This is
planet,
bigger but I feel
you
that it's a
know?
bigger planet, that people have been talking about that, but it's always felt like
Yeah.
something's not right. There's just like, yeah, this is it's bigger than
Flight
we
paths,
think.
all the things that give up, like, oh no, why is that like that?
Yeah.
You know? So
Well, it's
I just
negative
think it's
thinking. So we have to really, really be mindful of what we're thinking. And that's, I'm on
yeah.
myself. Like,
I
what
mean,
was
if you're aligning with
yeah,
this agenda, which is just like a doom and gloom and,
that's the
it's another
experience.
level of doom and gloom. Even I watch the cycles now, the last couple years, actually since COVID, where they're like, the money system's collapsing. Now this is collapsing. Then the pandemic, there's another pandemic. It's like, oh my God, like so clickbaity. Like you got to
Yeah.
really recognize when we're
Yeah.
being used,
That's right.
when they're using our energy.
That's
Because
and I see
energy is
that.
this
Yeah.
very crucial resource.
Hmm.
They can't get this emotional energy, if we don't give it to them. But if we give it to them and allow it to, and it pushes us into this group or that group. I'm the downtrodden or this. It's like that. It pushes everybody into groups and
Hmm.
makes it easier to control them.
That's right.
So the midlife is like, okay, what's my true purpose?
Hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to figure that out because there's so much that's gone on and it's going on in your life. You may have kids, like you've got kids. I don't have kids, so it's
Yeah.
like a different thing for me. Um, but there's a lot with like the understanding of clearing the past and like leaving
Right.
your past behind.
Yeah.
So, they call it recapitulation, where
Mhm.
you go through every event in your life. Like there was a point in my journey where every night I was forgiving and
Mhm.
asking for forgiveness for
Right.
everyone that I have ever
Yeah.
had issues with throughout my entire life. And every night I would go through a bunch. And I worked with these beings called the Lords of Karma. And I
Mm.
would say this certain, because a lot of times it's finding the right words to say to the spirits and
Right.
to the beings that are around us.
Yeah.
And I would just, you know, give it back all that I took from them and take back all my energy. And
Mm.
then more people would come up. I would like, oh, I don't have that many people. And then I'd be like, oh, actually, I do have a lot of people. And, I lived in a lot of
Yeah.
places. I was exposed to a lot of different people. So, um, it took a long time, but it was like, oh, it just
Yeah.
like cleared it. And
That
then
it
it was like, okay,
Well, because 'cause
yeah,
they're not who 'cause I didn't know it was called that, but I've done that for myself and with clients. It was just something that my guides told me to do a long time ago, was to go to each trauma in our life because we're not who those what those traumas were. That's not who we really are. And they were just an experience to get us to where we're at right now and hopefully grew and learned from that. But I had to go back to each trauma several times, similar to what you're saying, until it felt clear out of my body. So I'd go revisit that time and space, forgive, love myself, give myself a hug, forgive the person involved if that was the case. And I did that, sometimes it would be a couple months just on one place and time that there was a trauma until it was closed and sealed. And then where I was like, oh, it's just a memory. It's not who I am. So it sounds like that's a
Yeah,
similar, yeah, thing where you're just
yeah,
clear of it. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm taking this word from Carlos Castaneda from his book series. He talks a lot about the recapitulation, and
Okay.
that I didn't know that word either.
That's a big
And
word.
I was, it is a
Capitulation.
big word. And I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing. Because
Okay.
when I worked with ayahuasca, that's what I was doing
Mm,
physically, through these journeys. I was going back, and you know, I think there's many ways to do things. I was being called to the plant medicines, but I think you could
yeah,
do it with breath work. It's just like your intent. If
that's
I'm
right.
going to clear it, then
Mm,
you're going to clear it. And, for me, it was with these plant medicines. And
mhm.
I only did it until I was told I'm good to
Yeah.
do my own healing. But I was taken back to these places,
Mhm.
and it started with, but it's really interesting because now, as I've done more and more, then I realize what was happening back then,
Mm,
that more understandings, but
mhm.
it doesn't have any, there's no emotions around it. It's just
That's
like
right.
that thing. Yeah.
That's
So
that's
it's really good in midlife to do this because we've accumulated so much,
mhm.
so many
Baggage,
things have
so that
happened
wears
to
us
us.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can really,
So really, yeah,
yeah.
really getting into that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. And it does work. It just, yeah. And
It really does. It's
it's
subtle.
multi-dimensional too, so it's so what is going on too when we do this, we're actually going in and, the asshole dark that was, like, being able to control that, time and space, we're deleting that out of that time and space. That's why it's coming into this now of like, "Oh, you've forgiven, you've vanquished that asshole dark into the light or to wherever, and brought light to that experience or time and space because it's still like we don't quite have the concept of time, but there is no time. So when you do that work, you really are clearing and bringing light to that place in time and bringing love to it.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't keep perpetuating and reliving. So that dark asshole dark can't keep looping in that
Yeah.
time and space. So that's why the work is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where also it becomes more challenging for some than others because of astrology. So if you
Right.
have like
Yeah.
more placements in Cancer, for
Mhm.
instance, it's hard to release the past.
Yeah.
It's really, but you're an Aquarius, you're like, let's move on. Same with me. I got a lot of air too. It's like,
Still from trauma,
next.
but you know what? Yeah, but no, I know some people
So
it's
you got to
astrology
really
does matter.
recognize,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to recognize that your
Yeah.
energies may be harder to do, but
Mhm.
that may be that much more beneficial for you.
Yeah.
Because if you're stuck in a place, and cancers really like the familiarity of the past,
Mhm.
but they get very stuck
Yeah.
in that,
Yeah.
sentimental comfort.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so
That
it's
relit
because
yes.
there's new
Familiar.
comforts.
That familiar place, even if it's
Yeah,
detrimental to your health or,
yeah,
it's still familiar.
yeah,
So that's how we can keep reliving loops as well. Like, "Oh, but it feels
yeah,
familiar even though it's, killing us." It's yeah, but so it's recognizing that's the first step, recognizing that you're in an
yeah.
old loop, an old trauma loop, an old pattern that needs to be broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's
And
awesome.
this is part of maturation. This is part of becoming mature. And like, this is where it gets into like also, how you've maybe allowed certain ancestors to come in, wounded ancestors. I think I allowed some wounded ancestors to come in and they would show up in my worst, when I was at my worst with a relationship, they would show
Mm,
up and then they would really, I could see by after doing all the recapitulation and the working with ayahuasca, I could see that I was being influenced. It took me a while to really understand that and develop consciousness around it.
mm,
And then align with, just like giving them love. It's like, how do you don't need to do this. And
right.
really creating a more connection with your higher ancestors, your chief ancestors, your elevated ancestors. There's so many beings
Yeah.
around that want to help, that are actually here for our greatest purpose and our
Yes.
greatest, they align with the greatest destiny for us.
Right.
So, but again, the negative almost carries more of a charge than the positive. So it's like
That's
you really have to
yeah.
be aware of that. It's
You're
like
saying, yeah, because I just
you're not
pondered this
equal.
yesterday. You're so in
Yeah.
tune because I was like, why is it that the asshole dark is more prevalent. Like why does that
Yeah.
it can get into a really a toxic loop or, why does that keep showing up instead of like we have these amazing ancestors, we have our higher self, I have dragons that, I have a whole we all do. We
Yeah.
have
The
so many
spirit,
we have
spirit guide.
so much help, but we have to ask them and it's very subtle. Yeah. And it's like
Yeah.
real
And we have
because
to
we have
tune
to
in and
like
we have to clear
yeah, yeah.
so
And
we
we have
can
to
like
meet them
actually,
in their frequency, right? More so, like we have to actually move our consciousness into theirs to have that show up more positively in our life.
yeah,
Yeah. Is that, yeah. Do you think
exactly.
that, yeah, because
Yeah, and well, this
that's,
is with our thoughts too. Our
yeah,
thoughts, our negative thoughts. Like we can be all, oh yeah, I'm gonna manifest and da 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 around the moons or whatever, and
yeah,
then go off and then have these negative thoughts
mm,
towards others, or you
yeah,
know, or like, oh no, you can't do that. There's like little stories we always have
yeah,
told ourselves, like, you can't do that. You're not gonna be picked for the thing, or
yeah,
there's just like
yeah,
these little things that come in and you're just like, no, no, that's
yeah.
not happening. So,
If you're not aware of
um,
it, it is a pattern. It's an addiction
yeah,
pattern, whatever you want to call it. But those, if it's
yeah,
just what is it called? You're just in pilot mode, autopilot, and those thoughts come in,
yeah,
and then it kind of runs your life. And if it's a negative thought, you're like, oh yeah, and then you just go do your, thing that you didn't come here to do because that negative thought just took over. So you have to be so present and aware of that, those thoughts coming in. Like it wasn't you that say you have to be your own stalker of your thoughts, your
yeah. You have to
stalk your
stalk yourself.
thoughts. Like you got to be
It's
stalking
also from
yourself.
past data. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to really, like pay attention and be
Yeah.
conscious of all the thoughts you're having.
Hmm.
And that's really when things can shift for your reality.
Yeah.
Because if we think, oh no, we have to have the positive and negative. No, you can just have fucking positive thoughts.
That's that's what
And
I thought.
guess
I mean,
what?
that's what I think. And we can just
Yeah,
experience positivity. We don't need to do the dual. This is what I've always thought. I'm like, why do we have to have the dual just to learn things?
I
Like,
know.
oh, we
Because
wouldn't
there's
know
all
this
this,
if we didn't have that.
yeah,
And I'm
there's
like,
all
I
this,
don't think so. I think our soul would know, like, I think we came here to
yeah.
have just a better experience and somehow, yeah. But yeah, I love
But
that.
I mean,
Can't experience all positive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we are on a whatever this realm is, it is a realm of duality. It
Yeah.
is a realm, we came from the one, it splits into the two, the work
Yeah.
begins,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be the dark and there's always going to be the light. So it's just like
And that's
that's
it.
just
That's where
how that's
focusing.
the polarity, that's the magnetism and the energetic, the electric and the magnetic,
Mhm.
that is all
Yeah.
always going to be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there
That's
isn't like we
it's
conquer the
true.
dark.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think you're right. No, it's always there. It's just at a frequency that we are learning that we don't need to be a part of. So we can, it's like it
Yeah.
is focusing our conscious awareness to the power that we have to what we want in our life. And that is through clearing out the traumas and forgiveness and truly knowing who you really are, which is the midlife, is like, oh, I'm advanced soul that's unconditional love. Like none of those negativity thoughts even exist in the higher dimensional spaces. So it's yeah, you kind of figure a lot of stuff out around now.
Yeah.
Like the power.
Yeah. And it's all about self-awareness, being aware
Yeah.
in the moment,
Yeah.
what you're thinking, what you're telling yourself.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I feel like in midlife it becomes a little more like, okay, then you can tap into the magic if you can, because
Mm.
you've had a certain amount of time here, you can
Mhm.
be like, oh, understand the patterns
Yeah.
of this reality. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's like it doesn't matter what you think about this reality in terms of like it's a globe, it's flat, it's you know, the
It's a dream.
hyperborea,
It's a dream
like
state.
it's a
It's a false matrix. It's
all of a hologram.
yeah.
People don't like that. And it's just like it's whatever I mean, you don't have to,
Yeah.
go into that, but the bottom line is it's a reflective.
Mhm.
It's reflective. And there's a lot of magic here.
There is.
Tell
There's
them about when you came to visit me.
I loved it. There was so much
Showed
magic.
up.
Who showed up? Well, your cat for one. So we went on this amazing hike. I just love like this. Yeah, and her cat went on. Your cat came with us on the whole entire hike. It was along all the way down to the water. That was just magic. And all the trees and oh, I just love your space. Like it was
What
just
about
heaven, yes, and then so I'm sitting on your couch, so listen to this. This is amazing. I was like, just like, "What?" I mean, this is like because 'cause I'm already feeling the magic and in this higher space and doing my meditation and on your couch, and I'm like, "Dude," just opened up my computer, and I'm, like, looking out your window, and all of a sudden, this it's called a red-shouldered hawk, not a red-tail hawk. It's, the red tail has a red tail, and then the red shoulders have obviously red shoulders, and then they have black and white tail. This red-shouldered hawk comes flying down on the one branch that I can see out this window, and luckily, I had my camera in my hand so I could video it, but it had a snake in its talon, and
wow?
oh, I'm like, "Are
Amazing.
you kidding me?" I'm, like, recording, and then I send it to you, and you're like, hawks never come to my place. Like, are you kidding? Yeah, you said that the hawks never come down there. So I felt really
I
special.
haven't seen a hawk ever here
Yeah,
because there's a lot of ravens.
okay.
Ravens and vultures are the more
Wow.
common tricky
Yeah.
birds. Yeah.
So
So I
that
was
was
just like,
meant for
what?
me.
And then it was right out my window.
Yeah.
That was
And
so
so
magical.
that was such a that was magic right there, right? That was a powerful message for me because that's where I feel where I get my most um inspiration or uplifting and is through birds when I see them, hawks, eagles, any bird actually. And then I had literally just asked you the day before, do you see snakes here? So not only did the bird show up, it brought a snake because I just asked for it the day before. Like, because I love snake energy, it's like I love all animals. Everything has a message for us, and that it feels powerful because they're at a higher vibration. So that's the magic. That's where that magic feels amazing. So that message, and I love your interpretation of what the message was. What,
Well, the snakes represent the Kundalini energy. So
yeah,
it's like that rising, the spine,
yeah,
the snake uh,
yep,
represents that movement of energy
mm,
up and down.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's activating.
and it's
So
activating. Yeah,
it's activating. We had done all this work and we had been
Yeah.
in the forest and
Yeah.
we did a moon circle, and yeah, and then that showed up for you. And it was like, that's so amazing.
It's amazing.
So this kind of leads into the next section, which is just like really at midlife, you need to start connecting to the
Mm,
elements and to the
right.
earth.
Yeah.
It is really part of a big part of this transition. It is really important to connect. So
Yeah.
the hawk is the element of air
Mhm.
because that connects to the east, which is air. And
Okay.
so really starting to work with the directions and all the energies of the directions.
Mhm.
So east is a rising sun, it's the bird tribes, it's mental, it's our thoughts.
Mm.
Then you get into the south, the fire, working with the element of fire. Every time I make a fire, really honor the fire, and you can make offerings to fire.
Mm.
And then we get to the west, to the water. Water is super important. And
Mhm.
being also a mermaid in parallel reality, I'll have a lot of connections to water with my ancestors too. And becoming more reverent with water. I mean, even my bath water, I'm like, oh, I love you. Thank you. It's just
Mm.
like we have a way of transforming through these elements, transforming the energies through these elements. And then earth, there's the north, and earth is like, you know, represents a lot of the larger animals like the buffalo. And there's a different understandings and different traditions. You can kind of tune into what resonates with you.
Mhm.
Egyptian alchemy has a whole other, set of beings that connect with it. And some of the Neteru, the nature spirits
Mm.
that connect with it. Um, yeah, and just really starting to tune into them because we are the elements. So it's like the
Yeah.
more we connect with the elements and align ourselves, and through all the ceremonies I've done, with Sweat Lodge and all that post ayahuasca ceremonies, I did a lot with that during the pandemic.
Mm.
And I just really was like, oh, these
Yeah.
are like beings. These are
Yeah.
beings to have relationships with, and that's what the all the nature spirits represent in Egypt. The Isis, Khnum,
Mm.
Horus,
Yeah.
Osiris, they represent different aspects of nature.
Mhm.
They were never considered gods and goddesses in the old understanding.
Okay.
Originally, they were just
Wow.
spirits of nature.
Spirits of
So, and they're all around us.
yeah.
So, it's really
To
important
help us,
to,
heal too, so that's really
yeah,
seeing that. Yeah, like, to help us
and call on
remember
them,
that part of
help
us,
us balance. Like
help
I
us
was
balance.
talking about water, the
Mhm.
outer waters, your reverence for the outer waters changes your inner waters.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, and we are mostly water. So
Yeah.
it's that very simple practice of relating to starting to relate to these elements all around us
Yeah, and
is
then
really important
the
this
ceremony,
time.
like you taught me, like the fire ceremony was just beautiful. That was the first time I'd been in, like, other, like, little fire circles, over in Kauai when we lived over there together, but this was like you taught me, like, the actual ceremony practice of, because that's your beautiful space on your land is that fire circle with altars um, and it's all numerology too, right? With there's a significant of 16,
Yeah,
around the
I
fire.
use the biogeometry to
Yeah, the
create
biogeometry. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the numbers, the distance from the center of the
Mm.
fire pit, the outer circle is 144 inches, and then that's a sacred number. And then I have 16 stones around the outside, 16 abalone around the outside, 16
Yeah.
crystals around the fire. So everything is like numbered. And
Mhm.
then all the altars are lifted up like in dolmens. So there's like
Mm.
a piece of wood and then two other props to prop it up. And that creates a high vibration. So using all these different little tools
Mhm.
to raise the vibration. So it has a real centering effect in the
Yeah.
fire circle. But, you can just make a simple
That's
kind
what
of
I'm gonna
earth.
do with my, I have a little space where I can create just a little, sacred space outside that fire. I have rocks and I'll do little altars like you did just to ground, yeah, that just to bring that higher vibration in. But it is important. I felt that connection with the elements and the directions. And then because we did a releasing and a calling in with our ancestors, and it was just so near, like, and we did the drum, which is so important. And this is what our ancestors did to
Yeah.
work with the elements, to call in what we need, to release what's not working, and to have those energies, the higher frequencies, help us. And it felt just so natural to walk around the fire and drum and verbally out loud release what I didn't want in my life and call in what I do. It was powerful. Moving the body, sound, um, yeah, in that sacred space. It is
Yeah.
really needed, and especially now, even if you're not in midlife, it's important to find that, uh,
Yeah. And then, yeah,
yeah,
work at consciously connecting around you to nature. And that creates sacred space too.
yes,
So it's
exactly.
like just really becoming conscious. What are
Yeah,
the trees in my area? What's the waterways? Where's the nearest river or,
yeah.
because we all live in different environments. So,
Mm,
but they're like, oh, I really feel like I connect with these trees over here for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just going to start making offerings to these trees.
yeah.
And, offerings of tobacco are really nice.
Mhm.
Things that don't
Little crystals,
pollute the crystals.
top.
I think crystals are great because they're from the earth.
Yeah,
So I feel like there's also this, you know, uh, we're always extracting the crystals from the earth, and it's like, just give them back. Some of
yes.
them don't want to
Give
be
them
out.
back. Yeah.
Some of them, yeah, that's a whole other issue, but
No, and we
but they're
do
still
love
on
them.
the earth,
There's
even if they're
yes,
out.
I know. See, it's with everything, right? So it's the crystals, the rocks, the shells, everything we as humans like, but we like to have them around us. And if we're thankful, if we do it in a higher, in a ceremonial like because they show up for a reason, So as long as we're
Yeah,
doing it in a sacred place and not just, like I know what you mean, like just going and extracting for profit. Um,
yeah.
that's where it can be out of
Well,
balance.
I worked the crystal shows for a little
Yes,
while, and
that's what I'm
it's
thinking of is
part of
specifically
it's kind
crystal
of
shows, yeah,
sad because it's like, oh my God, he pulled all these things out from like
but
because
they're
there's
so
so much.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're so beautiful, and the crystal bathtubs and all that stuff. That's
Yeah.
like amazing.
Yeah.
But it's always good with nature to ask permission.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
like
Yeah.
I had tuned into the hagstone more
That's
recently.
amazing. You
I
got
was
one.
like,
That is so cool.
okay, if there's a hagstone for me, when I
Yeah,
go to the beach, and the other night I totally found one. And I was
that's
like, oh my gosh.
that's so cool because that's what you wanted to find, like, when I came to visit. I'm like, "Okay, I really wanna
Yeah, well,
find a
I've been
hagstone."
told it's a tool, so I'm just
It
like, okay,
is.
I
Yeah.
need a hagstone for repertoire.
That's
So
I know, I had
yeah.
actually never heard of one surprisingly, and then my, landlord, neighbor, she's amazing, and so she gifted me one. Yeah, and said how
Oh,
special
nice.
they are and they're a tool to use, and you can, see things through the little hole in the hagstone. And a
Yeah,
hagstone, if you
yeah.
guys don't know what that is out there, it's a, like, kind of a flat rock, and then a natural hole has been made in that rock. I don't the hagstone's out there.
And it's made with water.
And it's made with
So that's part of its power
it's
because it's been
seen.
made
The
with
sea
water.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it's made with water and it creates this natural hole. And if you look through it, it's like seeing the future or I forgot what she said, but
You could see spirits, you could see fairies, or you could,
yes.
yeah. There's a lot of different ways they're used.
Yeah.
And I think in Scotland or Ireland, there's like a giant one, and people like walk through it to like cure disease and,
Mm,
because it's a portal.
it's a
So,
portal. Yes, that's right. It's a portal. Yeah.
yeah, so it creates this
Exciting.
portal
That's
effect.
more magic.
I know.
More magic on the
There's so much magic.
focus on the
So it's like
magic here. Yeah.
focus on the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of magic. There's a lot of magic, and there's a lot of little tricks that show up, like Mandela effects and things like that, that show the
Yes.
cracks in this reality, that show that, like, it's not
I love that.
what we think it is,
Yep.
you
I love
know?
that. That's wait, hold on one.